States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Holly, would you call the roll, please?
Dagner. Here. Kramer. Here. Martin. Here. Stevens. And Wender.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Before we get started, I'd like to introduce our county controller, Brian Bosley, is with us. He's meeting with us since he took on his duty on Monday. So Brian, we're pleased you're here.
Thank you.
Okay, we're down to citizen time. Any citizen want to address the board, please come to the podium. State your name, where you live, and limit your comments 5 minutes or less. Any citizens want to address the board?
My name is Dan Carlson. I live at 1031 Lake Avenue, Quinnipiac. Now I'm here to talk a little bit about the landfill site. We, the concerned citizens of Dickinson County, were here 3 weeks ago, opposed to the changes submitted by Dickinson County Solid Waste Management Planning Committee. These being the allowing of low hazard material and demolition material from all counties in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, and not just Dickinson County. It has no limits on the number of trucks that they can run. And also allowing Niagara LLC to look into obtaining license that would also allow for the importation of household waste from Dickinson County. Landfill is located off of Kimberly Road, with the only access roads to Kimberly Road through the town of Quinnipiac via Lake Avenue and Lincoln Street. And as you know, this site is surrounded by Norway, Niagara, Quinnipiac, Kingsford, and Iron Mountain. It's also in the proximity of the Menominee River and also State Park down there, which is part of Pierce Gorge. After meeting with both Niagara LLC, citizens of Quinnipiac, Ryder Township also opposed the proposed amendments. We also petitioned the surrounding communities expressing our views in opposition to these proposed changes. Total petitions signed for 564. No one said they were in favor of these changes or that they felt that this was a good place for a landfill. On your meeting of September 12th, you, the Dickinson County Board of Commissioners, also opposed the above mentioned changes. We, the concerned citizens of Dickinson County, feel that these two proposals be sent back to the Waste Management Board as not being viable solutions for Dickinson County. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else like to address the board, please come forward.
My name is William Dixon. I live at 694 College in Quinnipiac. Been there for 39 years. I just have a question to ask everybody consider. How can we, in good conscience, invite industry and garbage into this part of pure Michigan? Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? We'll have a second citizen time near the end of the meeting.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Rita Lurie. I live at 929 Division Street in Quinnipiac. I've lived there for 36, 37 years since we've moved up here from the Chicago area. My husband at one time worked at a landfill, so he knows and has great knowledge of what goes on in there. I have a question. On Facebook, Ms. Kramer did post when somebody had asked about the landfill and the stuff you had mentioned that it was off the table. Well, if it's off the table, why is it on the agenda and why are we discussing amendments? Off the table does not mean under the table, it means totally off the table. So that's my discussion here. If you could please try to keep the garbage out of Dickinson County. We have a beautiful area, but things are not like they used to be, like Lake Antoine, as you remember. It's not like it used to be when we had kids growing up and we'd all visit. Now we're going to be known as the garbage area of the UP, and I don't think that's a good thing to get people to come to Dickinson County. So I just ask that you keep those things in mind. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to address the board at this time? Anyone else? Seeing none, we're moving on. Our first item on the agenda is Western UP Substance Abuse Services. And we are pleased Mark Hockel is here today, and we want to know how the $26,000 is spent in Dickinson County. And apparently, you'd like to see us waive the $26,000. So, Mark, if you would address the board and the audience, please.
My pleasure. To again state my name and title, I'm Mark Haukel. I'm the director of the Western Upper Peninsula Substance Abuse Service. That's the name that we utilized for the last 2 years. I was, prior to that time, the director of the Western Upper Peninsula Substance Abuse Services Coordinating Agency, dating back to 1977 to the cessation of coordinating agency activities for substance abuse services in Western UP on September 30, 2014. Though it remains our corporate name, we changed our business name because we were more than a coordinating agency. We were also a service provider. And I think of significance, a partner with our programs and of equal importance, the 7 counties that we represented and worked on behalf of. You entrusted us with resources, and we hope that we always met expectations or ideally exceeded them when it came to service delivery. I'll come to the point in just a moment. If you'll allow me one digression. As I was leaving, my wife admonished me. She said, please be polite, be professional, and above all, be brief. For those of you that know me, I see a few familiar faces in the courtroom today. That's very difficult for me, so I will do my very best. I'll also try to respond to questions in the time allotted me. We are talking primarily about resources that were made available to the agency from Dickinson County to assist with services for drug court clients. This dates back to, if I recall correctly, the middle part of the last decade, somewhere around 2004-05. The date that sticks with me particularly is one that has to do with attending a drug court conference in Philadelphia with Judge Edith's predecessor, Judge Coos, and his staff relative to the drug court. As we began our partnership in Dickinson County to address clients coming through that court activity. Dickinson County allocated resources to the coordinating agency for a period of time to assist us in meeting the long-term treatment expectations of clients coming through the drug court, beginning in approximately 2004-2005. The resources began to accumulate over the years because the agency engaged in a practice that was not uncommon for us as a private nonprofit. We were the designated coordinating agency. We obtained resources from state government that also brought to us federal dollars, but state and federal dollars were allocated annually and not permitted to be carried forward by us. As we began our drug court activities, we realized that at times we would draw down county revenue, but be in a position to replace it as the fiscal year ended. If, by way of example, we used $5,000 of a $10,000 county allocation in a given year and found that we had lapsing funds that would help us address those costs, we would seek permission from the state to utilize lapsing federal and state money to pay for services rendered and paid for by county drug court money and return that money to the county account. So at the end of the year, when we closed out our books, the money was back in the account that we wanted originally allocated. This was a practice that we began, and the drug court services began here and in other counties, and continued to the cessation of the coordinating agency function in 2014. The local resources that we retained, we carried forward, and at the direction of the agency, then Substance Abuse Services Board, we began to look at retaining and continuing services in anticipation of local funds. As the 2014-15 fiscal year unfolded, The resources, particularly local dollars that we once managed, became the responsibility of the new administrative body for the Upper Peninsula in Marquette and no longer came to us. We drew down fund balances and utilized existing funds to keep our network in place across a broad array of services for Dickinson and the other 6 counties in our region. They included continuance of our federal probation court project, our prisoner reentry initiative, the continuance of our access center for the placement of clients in our and other networks here in Dickinson County. We maintained our employee assistance program, and we continued with the fetal alcohol syndrome project targeting population in and around Lockview, Desert, and Beavis County. As we proceeded through the 14-15 year, it became imperative that other local funds and other resources materialized as we entered the 15-16 year to ensure that our agency would continue for at least 1 more year and we could then successfully, if not yet accredited, we were not accredited in 14-15, and drop that process due to our inability to meet all of the standards in a timely fashion. As we entered 15-16, we looked at available funding and decided that the most important thing for us to do was transition service to new providers and ultimately close the corporation. To get back to the issue at hand, over the decade-plus period that we worked with the drug court, we maximized the dollars at every opportunity, and as I stated a few moments ago, when the opportunity presented itself, we would return to the county account state federal dollars that we had utilized to pay for the service to offset the use of local funds. Regrettably, I do not have a precise figure for that 10, 11, 12-year period. We did prepare an invoice that shows the cost for maintaining our access center at the request of Mr. Degner, who is well known as on my governing board and is the board chair, to identify costs incurred during the 14-15 year that we absorbed. That is just one part of our overall array of costs. We are working on a more detailed financial breakout of what we spent across the system, particularly in the 5 counties from which we have yet to receive financial assistance as we move towards full cessation of our activities and dissolution of the corporation. I would like to respond to specific questions, if I may, to frame the context for this. Simply put, we utilize the county revenues and post October 1, 2014 to address costs for continued service in Dickinson County with the expectation that we would be receiving other revenue to offset those expenditures as we had in the previous 11 years. And when county plans were approved for use of local revenue, i.e. liquor funds, we believed that those revenues would be forthcoming. Regrettably, they have not been, and it expedited the move towards transition of service, the ultimate cessation of activities by us, the decision to first go quiet and now to dissolve the corporation.
Well, I'm just reading the letter we got from Judge Mia, and you don't specifically say how we got this $26,000, and I think that's what we'd like answered. I don't know if Judge wants to talk at this time or not.
Sure, I can. No, I think I'm okay here, Mark. Again, we appreciate you coming. I guess I had a couple of concerns, and that's what I had expressed to the board, and John and I had some conversations as well about the issue, given his detailed knowledge. And my primary concern was that for several years, as you know, we were carrying a significant fund balance, roughly $26,000.
$26,064.
Thank you. And in 2015, we had discussions about possible uses for those funds. You had referenced a mentorship program. I think you had also suggested perhaps looking at some in-jail counseling programs.
That was our hope.
And I understand that. And you've always been very forthright about those types of issues and those ideas and suggestions, and we appreciated that, and you've always been a good partner for the sobriety court. But my question is, if we were carrying that type of balance in 2015, and we were contemplating those additional programs to utilize some of that fund balance, why wasn't it referenced at any point that you were going to be using those funds for other purposes if you lost accreditation in 2014, you said?
Never completed the process for accreditation. As I said, we were pursuing it with vigor with CARF, but realized we did not have either the resources or the time frame necessary to secure it before we would run out of cash. And we moved quickly to partner with Great Lakes Recovery Center, which is an accredited program that continues the services that will draw down Medicaid and state and federal funds, resources we were not eligible for as a licensed program. Was identified in the plans that we developed internally for our board's use relative to how we would utilize PA2 funds or local dollars going forward if allocated to us as part of a county plan. My recollection, please correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is that the organization that assumed responsibility for administration offered in the spring, early summer of 2015 opportunities for counties to put plans in for use of their local dollars. My board directed me to prepare plans for the utilization of those funds, and our intent was to use money in drug courts, in services that you and I had discussed upon receipt of those funds. We did not have control over anything but our carry forward fund balances. This afforded us an opportunity to work with our partner counties to ensure continued cash flow along with fees collected from services rendered by the clinicians underwritten with those dollars to expand the services in a manner comparable or consistent with our discussions. Our plans, however, were quickly put on hold as the resources did not materialize.
And my concern, Mark, is that at no time did I authorize the expenditure of those funds. I don't believe this county board authorized the expenditure of that pot of money. Was that a unilateral decision that was made by WUPSIS, or?
That was a decision made by the governing board of the coordinating agency following past practice, that we have continually used those funds when they have been used for drug court clients and authorized with the anticipation of revenues materializing as they did for 10 years to replace those.
And if that's the case, why were you talking about continuing to fund additional programs if you knew you were going to be using the fund balance?
Well, the fund balance decision was made at a time when our obligations necessitated an infusion of money in the short term. We expected county plans to be approved for utilization of other funds. They were not. And it left us in a rather precarious situation, transitioning programming very quickly to ensure it wasn't lost, at the same time meeting internal operating expenses. The decisions that have been made recently by my governing board, for example, have been to look at the feasibility of invoicing the counties for services rendered otherwise not compensated. Because we functioned for approximately an 18-month period without any compensation for service.
Right.
But it was a decision made by the agency governing board to utilize the funds as it had in the past to address service costs. And we are in the process of coming up with a very detailed list of services in Dickinson County addressed by those dollars. But we identify the resources appropriately so on all of our ledgers as a liability to the state. So we are not in any way, shape, or form denying the liability or absolving ourselves of responsibility, and we are here to seek relief from that liability in any number of ways to ensure that we can successfully resolve and our obligations can be addressed. But your point is well made and well taken, that the authorization did not come as it had for clients entering the system from the court, and it was our plan going forward if the local resources materialize, to operationalize the services that you and I have discussed.
And do you believe your agency can validate the expenditure of $26,000 through invoices, billings, checks, etc.?
I think we're in the process right now of breaking down all of the expenditures incurred over the 2-year period according to our records and the audit or 990s that we've had for the time period and account for the revenue. I'm of the opinion that the costs incurred for continued delivery of service across the board in Dickinson County would significantly exceed that figure. But that doesn't, in any way, shape, or form, solve us of what you just stated. It was a unilateral decision to keep programming and services in place until we could transition them. There was a very high expectation at my board level for receipt of local funds and other revenues that did not materialize.
And I've asked you for those backup documentation and that information. Do you have a timeline on when that will be presented?
Our
Because
hope,
essentially, you're asking the county board to wipe out the $26,000 in exchange for services that were provided over the last year and a half, correct?
that's one of two options that I came here prepared to ask. One would be to forgive, in essence, the debt for services rendered. The other would be to pay us for services rendered utilizing local funds, as other counties in the region have done. If it were to take place in the case of Dickinson County, we would invoice the county for services rendered but not compensated by anyone. Should the county choose that option, to our benefit and behalf, we would receive the money and then turn around and write a check back to the county. We want money identified as an outstanding liability. It seemed pragmatic and practical to seek relief from the debt from the county, and that was discussed at an agency board meeting, and we pursued that option through our representatives.
And your timeline for producing?
Our timeline is to have all of that material available by the first part of November. My financial officer, who is working elsewhere but continues to work for the agency, is already alert to this and working on it. We pulled some material out. The example I used is material I think we provided to Mr. Degner and to the county relative to cost to just run the access center. But all of the other services are going to be support for the programs I alluded to earlier, the treatment services that the underwrote provide. Remembering that the agency, effective October 1, 2014, is no longer an administrative liability, a licensed provider. All of the costs incurred in those supports have not been included in that process either. The administrative costs.
And those funds by statute are earmarked for substance abuse prevention and treatment, and that was one of the other things I wanted to make sure was that they were expended on those specific purposes and not administrative costs or other.
The services that we provided, we can certainly separate out admin from administration, but a very good example is that there are a number of contracts in Dickinson County for our employee assistance program. Almost all of the referrals coming in were substance related, and we would use PA2 funds to match employer contributions, and we would underwrite cost for services with PA2 available. So we're breaking all that out as well. One of the costs incurred during the immediate past fiscal year has to do with one of the employees in Dickinson County services. We honored that commitment, paid the bill. But there's no question that we have an identified liability. We're seeking relief from that.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
As of right now, I would not be in favor of waiving that money unless at this point in the future, we say November 1st, we might give the judge some paperwork that might change my mind. I'm going to look at the judge if he tells me in the future that he can live with that, I'll reconsider, but as of right now, as far as I'm concerned, you owe us the money. I think I understand.
I would like to point out that Iron County Judge Swedler is also concerned about the $10,000 that was supposedly spent in Iron County. So I am with Joe. I'm not for waiving anything at this point. I'd ask for input from other board members if you want to move one way or the other.
I think Joe stated it well. I agree with Joe. I'm not in favor of forgiving the $26,000 without documentation of the use of those funds.
Understand.
Clarification. John?
Well, I just want to clear one thing. Dickinson County has not provided any funding to the Western UP since 2011. So all those funds that were there have been used and replaced over the last 5 years by carryover money that we were able to replenish back there. So actually, if you want to go back all the way back to 2011 and show the expenditures for the drug court, and the money was spent, he can provide it. So, I mean, we're talking about $26,000 because somebody thinks there's $26,000 there that belongs to the county that was replenished by the Western UP board to put back into those funds. I think that we were good riparians of the funding, and we made every dollar go as far as it could go. So I guess I am in favor of this.
If I may pick up on John's comment for just a moment, unless you would like me to quickly wrap up my remarks. What John said is absolutely true, and that's why I alluded to the carry forward revenue. I made only passing reference to it earlier, but I recall in my remarks. But we took our last payment from Dickinson County in the form of local funds in January of 2011. And that covered, I believe, the month of December. That's one of the things we're looking at.
You're not talking about PA2 funds.
I'm talking about the money that came up
Specific
directly from the
allocations.
county funds for support of activities in the court. From 2004-5 through 2010, what we had done is continue to replenish the resources that we had utilized in drug court activities. And in the mid and latter part of the last decade, there was a considerable utilization of the drug court that drew down those revenues. But because of our ability to obtain state permission to use lapsing funds to offset those costs, we would pay for them with local funds and bring back, as I stated, the state dollars and put those back into the account. They would be state, federal, block grant. That practice continued from January 2011 forward. So for the 10, 11, 11, 12, 12, 13, and 13, 14 fiscal years, in which we fully functioned as a coordinating agency, we sought no additional revenue from Dickinson County. And that's why the fund balance was, for some period of time, slightly higher than 30,000. As we drew down to services on temporary time, it was down to $26,064, which we do identify as a liability because the only place we could move the lapsing funds was into a local account. And since we were replenishing funds obtained from Dickinson County, we put the money back in, as John so carefully stated, back into your account to protect it, carry it forward for services in the coming fiscal year. There's two other variables that came into play here. I won't belabor the point, but one was an allocation formula change for the state of Michigan that went into effect after the 2009 fiscal year, where we were going to start losing revenue because we were an overfunded coordinating agency region. The Western UP 7 counties have 1.1% of the state's population. We have about 2.2% of the state's money because of the successful programs and the partnerships we formed, include obviously our partnership with Dickinson County and its court. They began drawing down that revenue. We were successful in having that formula not take effect over a 3-year period, but over a 5-year period. So we were extremely aggressive from 2010-11 through the cessation of the agency activities in drawing down every lapsing dollar we could to put, in effect, local money back into accounts. That will be
I'm going to
explained.
interrupt you.
Please do.
We have a long agenda, so keep your comments very brief.
I'm not succeeding, am I? I thank you for allowing me to add that expansion. If I may respond to your comment about Iron County, though there is support for the Iron County Court comparable to what Dickinson County did. The situation is markedly different in Iron County. There were specific staff people in place, and as a licensed program, we actually became one of the staff people in place with the court's understanding and endorsement. So there's a little different circumstance there. I just wanted to clarify that point. I'm cognizant that you have a very long agenda and you've been very patient with me and allowed me to expand and loop back on a couple of points to answer. Are there any other questions that you have at this moment?
Just one comment, Mark. What bothers me a lot is it's taken this meeting to get you here to answer some questions when you repeatedly refused to meet with Judge Swedler in Iron County, according to their chair, Jim Aho, according to our Judge Chris, that you didn't respond in time to a lot of his requests. But it took a meeting, a public meeting, to get you to answer any questions at all. And that kind of bothers me, that you kind of put some of these people off from answering questions. Maybe I'm off base in saying that, but I'm glad you're here, and I think this has got to get cleared up.
No,
But
you-
I'm going to stick to my statement. Unless you can provide documentation, I'm not willing to waive that money.
I understand, and I appreciate your comment. May I take 60 seconds to respond? I think you're referring to 3, perhaps 4 meetings that were scheduled with Judge Schwebler in Iron County over probably the last 2 to 2.5 month period. Those meetings were set up by our partner organization, and the organization that took over all of the services that we were providing in Iron County after April 8th of this year. That would be Great Lakes Recovery Center. We were going to those meetings as an asset for Great Lakes. We have been invited to participate. Those meetings were postponed, the first 3, by Great Lakes, as their director was, if I recall correctly, first called to a Federal Bureau of Prisons conference for participants and providers in Kentucky, and then went in the most recent one to Alaska for a CARF review and was ill there and ill coming home. The final one that you mentioned, the 4th of the meetings, was scheduled for the 30th of September, and that one was postponed by the district and drug court.
Okay, thank you, Mark.
Welcome,
We
my
have
pleasure.
Iron County Commissioner and Controller here. Maybe they'll bring the message back to Iron County, what you learned today. Okay, thank you, Mark.
My pleasure. Thank you for the time.
Thank you. Look forward to want to take action officially, but not waive it or just wait and see. What's your pleasure, board?
I would just wait to see what Judge
Okay.
back, and then we
Take
can make
no
a decision.
action today then. Thank you, Judge Nelia, for coming.
Thank you.
You know, we have a firm enough timeline. Mark said the first part of November. When can that documentation be expected?
My hope is to have it by the end of the month. For personal reasons, I've been laid off effective November 1st. So it's my intent to move expeditiously on all of these and ideally meet with the judge before the end of the month, present the information to my board chair and other Dickinson County representatives, our other Mr. Kramer in advance, and make sure that I've addressed all of the questions that have been raised by the county commission and by the judge in that document, and then share the final draft
Okay,
with
and
the
then I'll
judge.
wait for Judge Lynn till we have some.
Okay, thank you. Amendments.
Chairman, is it okay if Mark, please? Pardon, is it okay if Mark?
Oh, sure.
Am I needed for anything?
You too can be excused if you wish.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
the opportunity.
Okay, we're down to the solid waste plan amendments, and we denied to allow the siting in Site 2 landfill down off Kimberly Road. We also denied the other 14 counties to bring waste into our county. So board open for discussion. We're supposed to send recommendations back to their committee what our thoughts are. Joe?
I don't see anything that should change. My only recommendation would be to look at the future, whether it be 10, 15, 20 years from now, to possibly open up another road. To maybe utilize that acreage back there for some kind of an industry other than a landfill. I think we've got to look at economic development in all different ways, and there's a lot of land back there that might be able to be utilized for some kind of an industry. I understand the road traffic through Quinnipiac. We can't stop what's happening there now. That's just the way it is. But I'm always going to look for what's best for the community in whole, Dickinson County, in the future. And that's my only thought, was that if there's a possibility to reroute something into that land to use for a possible future development, not for landfill, but something else, I'd be willing to look at that.
And you have any comments?
Well, I wanted to respond to Mrs. Murray about why it's back to us. In the letter we received, we were charged that if we had comments or objections to the proposals, that we were to resubmit the amendments to the Solid Waste Planning Committee. So that's what we're doing. We're going back to them, and they will review that, and then it'll come back to us again for final approval and approval by all the townships. Is that correct?
Yep.
Yeah. But I'm in concurrence with Joe. I think that, you know, what was said, the two proposals that we said no to are not viable for Dickinson County at this time.
Mr. Chairman,
John,
I think we denied them for a reason, and I think we should deny them and have no comment. Just deny them. Tell them we're not interested in this type of proposal.
or do you care to comment?
Well, the leaning right now from the committee on which I sit is that, you know, whatever the county board has decided will be abided with as far as the committee is concerned. So there won't be anything else done with this. It'll just be let stand as it is, but that has to come back to us within 30 days from the committee. So we will have to take one more step, but there is, the will is, of the people has been heard, and, you know, the county board denied the two objectionable portions of the proposal, of the amendments, and as far as I'm concerned, they stay right where they are. It's off the table.
Okay, I'm also for denying type 2 landfill at Niagara Development. I'm also against allowing the 14 other counties to bring waste to our county. So the chair would entertain a motion to send these recommendations back to the landfill authority.
Mr. Chairman, I would move that we send these two descriptions or denials to the Solid Waste Management Authority and have no comment. Just tell them they do not follow Dickinson County standards.
Okay, motion by John, support Barb. Further comments? Seeing none, I'm going roll call on this one, Dolly.
Okay, there's one in Troy.
Okay.
Kramer,
Move it to send it back? Yes.
Yeah.
Martin,
Yes.
Stevens,
Yes.
Linder,
Aye.
Wagner.
Yes.
Okay, motion carried unanimously. Next, we got senior millage disbursement request. So, I don't know how we start this, really. Sandy's gonna address us for a little bit.
I'm Sandy Asselin, Executive Director of Dickinson Area Community Services. Thank you.
Can hardly hear you, Sandy.
Okay, I'm Sandy Asselin, Dickinson Area Community Services Executive Director, and I thank you for having us here to allow to speak on the senior millage. I've sent paperwork and letters to the commissioners in regards to our request and to the requests of other senior centers. As you know, we call a meeting usually in August. Senior centers send two representatives, and we speak first, and we say this is what's needed and why it's needed in Dixon. They leave the room, they talk amongst themselves and say, okay, this is what we need, and then they come together, put their requests on paper and sign it, and that's how, and we send it into the controller and to the commissioners for approval, which you have the last say and everything. This year, the senior millage had a small increase, or as they're hoping to have a small increase of about 4%. We also, and as you see, the requests that were sent exceed what was the amount that, the $391,800. So we had proposed that last year we put on the one sheet you got the millage analysis. Last year's amounts that the centers got and that we got, and with the 4% increase, we had proposed to increase all the centers to 4%. And we would do 1% for us, and then the remainder go to Norway. And as you see, it's the balance we put in Norway. It would go, Norway go from 26,000 to 36,000. In the past, I guess I just would like the commissioners to know that DICSA serves Dickinson County as a whole with many, many programs. We do home delivered meals for shut-ins for people who are isolated. We do in-home services that does personal care, respite, and homemaking. With family ties that communities that take care of their loved ones can either get a break or come in if they're still working, because a lot of our young people are taking care of their parents still. We do emergency meetings and help individuals that qualify, low-income individuals with deliverable fuels, utility bills throughout the year. We do have the RSVP program. We have many programs that we run throughout the community. Last year, we delivered, for CSFP and TFAP, we delivered 31,578 boxes throughout the community. We have, I believe, 10 counties that we work with that program. And meals we served were 1,016,729. Propane and utility fuel, deliverable fuel and utilities is 199 people we served just in this county. We weatherized 34 homes in this county. We gave almost 9,000 rides with our Buzz Around Town bus. We provided individuals that qualified. We did 147 tax returns at no cost. We did 27,864 hours of volunteering throughout our community. And our whole community is Dickinson, so keep that in mind. People served last year in in-home services in Dickinson County was 110 individuals in their homes. We served 31 veterans with a homeless housing assistance. And for adult daycare, we served almost 14,000 hours last year. We would respectfully, I know there might be a versal, and with the admin, we did decrease that. And the total of that for the millage we anticipate would be the $368,292. So with that, the proposal that we came forward with was to increase everyone that 4%, increase us 1%, and remainder to go to Norway. So, as you probably know, and have heard, the Norway Senior Center has decided to go on their own, which is, I wish them well on their endeavor. But we can't lose sight of the most vulnerable population that we serve. The people, and our goal, our target population is 75 and older, frail, isolated individuals that we serve in the home that can't get out in the community. So,
Can you speak out louder, please?
Okay. Is this?
I don't know if that is.
Can you hear her back there?
It's on.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Hi.
According to this graph, which says 2016 county millage total, which is the amount you have in your letter dated yesterday, 386,200. Norway Senior Center receives 7% of funding and in the amount of $27,525.
We serve them, is that senior meals or is that the total?
Senior congregate meals.
Okay, we serve them until April 14th, I believe.
I'm just asking the total. That's the total for the year
For this year,
for Norway
that we
Center.
served already.
And does that include the 4% increase?
No, this would be proposed for next year, the 4% increase.
So when, in your letter, it states that they submitted a request for $56,000,
They
how
did-
is that justified?
They did not submit it to us, they submitted it to, I think that's what they're requesting. They're requesting, in their 3 districts, they're requesting all the millage that's generated in their 3 districts to go to, and that's what the anticipated amount was. But that doesn't take into
Those 3
consideration.
districts broken down, it's Waseda, and you
It's
have
the
those
city.
broken down?
They're the city of Norway, Waseda Township, and Norway Township.
But all served by the Norway Senior Center?
Are you talking meals? Yes.
Yes.
The meals. Not home delivered though.
No.
We do the home delivered, yes. But we also serve, we have 4 people that we serve in the home there. We also go with the bus to do transportation for medical visits and shopping. And we also take individuals from that area to attend family ties. We also serve with the CSFP program and the TFAP program and the emergency needs program, all of them. So
Sure. So all of these programs that you're talking about are funded through this senior millage?
No, we get
Well,
grants.
that's
We get
that's what you're telling
grants.
us.
We get grants too, but they do not meet the needs of, they're not substantial grants that would meet the whole need of doing the service. The millage offsets what we get, that the shortfall is what we get.
Well, I'm just going to state my fact here right now. I think your action as a DICSA organization, who are supposed to be representing the senior people of Dickinson County and Iron County, totally betrayed the senior people. By coming down and telling them the day you had a meeting, that day you went down there and you told them you were pulling their kitchen on. I said, this is a personnel issue between you and their staff. I think that you, as a professional agency, should have stood up and said, we will do this in a timely manner, not next day or same day. I feel that you totally betrayed the senior people, and I don't blame them for wanting to be by themselves.
I appreciate that. We didn't come to that decision lightly. We talked to a lawyer, we talked to our board, we talked to UPCAP, who gave us that advice also. Our lawyer gave us that advice also. So it wasn't taken lightly. We did not do it overnight. It was a process that we did. And our board members can tell you that we did do a process here.
And when you go to the meeting and talk to you about it, you get laughed at?
I'm sorry, I didn't.
When I went to that meeting, I stated a statement, and one of your staff started laughing at me. And I don't appreciate that at all. So that tells me you're unprofessional.
Any other questions?
Any other comments from the board?
Can I say something?
Well, if you would.
In the meantime, when all this happened, we worked, the Dixon board, worked with UPCAP to do a contract. The contract was gonna pay them $2.85 a meal. And that is 61 cents more than anybody else gets. It was $23,085. They turned down that contract. What we could have done if they would have taken that contract, because that money can only be used for congregate meals. If they would have taken that money, then we could have given them the full millage of $56,000. They would have been whole. We would have been fine, but they turned it down.
The reason they turned it down, Dolly, is because there's everything in that contract goes through Dixon.
Okay,
Oh,
no.
Wait.
No, it does not.
I have,
The only thing that Dixon would do, and this was from the very beginning of setting up that contract, the only thing is write a check.
Well, then it
That's
should
all.
be stated in that contract,
Well-
that way, because everything in that contract now goes through Dixon. It goes, the inspections, the Dixon has the right to terminate the contract at any time with a 7-day notice. Why is Dixon involved in that? They don't want to deal with it.
And they weren't supposed to be done.
We
And
didn't-
that's the fault of
we did not
UPCAP.
write this contract. It was written by UPCAP, and it came to us, and it was supposed to be a give and take. UPCAP was mediating, so it was supposed to come to us, we make our changes, it goes to them, they make our changes. This is the changes I sent to UPCAP, taking us out. I didn't want us to be in there, going over their provisions and reports. This was talked, in fact, we called Wednesday or Thursday UPCAP, because we were going to do a phone conference with their finance director and with a couple other individuals and our individuals to go over this, to say this is what we need to have taken out.
Consider that. But being that all the wording in there all goes to Dixon, there's a problem there, and they don't want to deal with it.
But that wasn't the final contract. I mean, it was still in, no, that's not it. It was
Can I
in the
give you
works.
I have that.
This
Yeah,
one?
that is not what was intended
This is what
at
was
all.
sent back to UPCAP by me.
Well,
for
then why
changes.
would you send out a contract that's
They
not?
sent out the contract.
I'm saying is, why would you send out a contract that is not the final contract?
As Tanya put it, they sent it to both of us to make our own revisions. They were the mediator. They were going back and forth. These were my changes that I sent to UPCAP last week, And we were gonna discuss it this past week until she said, well, there's been a change.
Yeah, because they got the contract, and they
Right,
thought that was their
but these are
contract.
the changes.
We don't have
We
that.
didn't get that yesterday.
But
UpCap has been very, very difficult to work with. They've dragged their feet on this. It was their suggestion to do this. And we were all for it. We were only gonna sign the check, that's all.
That's it.
And that's what was planned.
Nobody inspected.
Can I give you what I sent?
You know, we haven't seen the contract, us board members.
This is the changes I requested.
So would you get the board a copy of that contract so we can review it?
The
John's
original.
seen it. I don't think any of us has seen it.
The original, without the changes?
All of
Okay.
them. And I don't think the board's gonna move today to agree to these funds until we study it further. Dolly brought up some good points we were unaware of.
Yeah. And we're sorry with Norway, because the intent was sign the check, that's all, because we know that they don't want to deal with things, so which we feel bad about, but we know that. So UpCap was supposed to have set it up that way, and they have really been lax in this whole process.
Okay, Barb?
I'd like to see a copy of the final contract.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the final one.
That is definitely-
After all the requested changes, because that's the one that I'm gonna make my decision on. And that will be, you know, if UpCap, if Dix is only supposed to sign the check, then that, and that would make Norway whole, that would be fine with me. But this, the way, you know, and I think what perhaps we need to do is request from UpCap mobilization of their executions.
We
Get it
tried.
going. Let's get it going so that people have a sense of what's going to happen next year as soon as possible.
But can we get some hope from Norway that if the contract says just that?
No, I'm not opening it up for public participation.
I know, but, okay.
Okay, Ann and Joe, what's your comment?
I think the contract is controlling. We have to get a final, I don't know why UpCap isn't more responsive to the fact that this contract has to be finalized, or that these people submitted their visions. I think we need to.
Can I?
Not quite yet, you can speak.
Um,
Oh, you, go ahead.
Okay, yesterday, we were in the office talking about this and ready to do what we need to do with UpCap, and when I called, or she was supposed to call me back, so we called her yesterday to see that if she got a hold of Norway, and they said they still didn't want to. But they don't know that this was changed, that's the thing. So, and it has to go back and forth. The final might not take a week, it might take a couple weeks. Because it's going to go back and forth, because they're allowed to put in what they want, and we're allowed to change what we want until we come to a conclusion or a final.
If this goes back to Dixon, and, back to UpCap, with Dixon's changes on there, and Norway has the right to turn their changes back in there, okay? Then, when they get the final contract, they will see that contract, I'm sure,
Correct.
and they, as a site council, will approve that
Correct.
if it's only a pass-through of a check.
Correct.
And I believe that, and then the rest of the village will make them whole at 56,000, what they were looking for. If that would happen, I believe that they would be able to honor that.
I would, and we're okay with that too. We're happy, but this is going to be a give and take until it's final.
Correct.
Okay? Just know that that was not the final.
Okay, for, no action needed today, I guess we'll wait. And then, for one of our future agendas for disbursement.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Move on to approve the budget calendar, and two people from Norway will have a chance to speak in a little bit. Okay.
So I move that we approve the revised Dickinson County budget calendar for fiscal year 2017, I think the only change is that on Wednesday, October 12th, the department heads will present their budgets beginning at 2:30. So I move that we approve this amended or revised calendar.
Okay, moved by Ann, support Barb. Further discussion, Brian, are you satisfied with the calendar as is?
Yes, I am.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carried. Other business, we got any other business come before the board?
I have one item, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to have Diana and Joy from the hospital set up another joint meeting for some discussion. Doesn't necessarily have to be the full board if they don't want to meet with the full board, but I would like to meet as this full board to discuss some future ideas for the hospital.
Okay, sounds good, Joe. Now we are down to citizen time. Any citizen want to address the board, please come forward. State your name, where you live, and limit your comments to 5 minutes or less.
My name is Rita Lurie, 929 Division Street, Quinnipiac. I just wanted to thank everybody. I know there's a lot of work involved in what you do. I appreciate Mrs. Martin explaining everything to me. And I know how much work goes into all these meetings and all of the decisions that are come forth before you. So thank you very much. Even if it didn't go what I was wishing for, I still would have been up here thanking you. There's a lot of stuff that we don't, because we don't attend these meetings, we don't realize what all you do, you know. So keep doing what you're doing, but try to always focus on what you would like your grandchildren or the future to be like in this county. Quinnipiac right now is, you know, in between a landfill, in between Verso, and then, you know, another garbage. So, you know, like Mr. Olson had once said, enough is enough, you know, and it's just not Quinnipiac, it's Dickinson County, and there is a lot of truck traffic on Lincoln, and I don't know if we can protest that or not because of there's a lot of kids in that area with the sports and, you know, the ice skating rink and stuff. I don't know what we can do for that, you know, before somebody does get hit by one of those trucks. There is no real speed limit on Lincoln, you know. Same with Lake. If you look at the vehicles, there's no speed limit. You just kind of do what you want to do. We don't have police in Quinnipiac. And the police that we have, I'm sure, are doing an excellent job, but, you know, there's no real policing in Quinnipiac besides your neighbors. So, anyways, I just wanted to thank you again from the bottom of my heart. Keep doing an excellent job, watching out for the community. We appreciate it all. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to address the board? Anyone else like to address the board? State your name.
My name is Susan Slining. I live at W4010 Lake Mary Drive South, down in Baltimore, Michigan. I heard Dolly say that what was offered to us with a contract, which we went over with a fine-tooth comb, of $2.85 a meal. She said that's more than anybody gets reimbursed. That is not what Tanya LaFave told me. She told me that Dixon gets $2.85 USDA money from eligible meals. The contract was gone over with a fine-tooth comb by all of the board members. Our board members and seniors have attended Dixon governing board meetings, only to be laughed at, told they were, what, troublemakers from Norway? I feel we've been kind of picked on for a long time. I feel we had no choice. When Dixon at-will employee also stated in number 6 of this contract, they're at-will at pulling out and not giving us reimbursement for these meals. This is what we received. This is what we were going on. This is what we based our decision on. What happened to us on the 31st of March, when they came in and kind of left us like old Mother Hubbard with nothing in our cupboard. The response from the citizens of the surrounding area, and I can speak for Dickinson County, because we have seniors that come from Reading Township and Iron Mountain and Kingsford and Spread Eagle and Niagara that come to our meal site. It's like, what is going on? When I asked if they were going to cover our Monday night meal, which was the 4th of April, no, you're on your own for that. I said, what about our salad bar? No, you're on your own. You're not going to be getting money from us. We'll send the meals in, Meals on Wheels style. Well, then they changed that and bulked in food. I think you all have a copy of our letter, or the board's letter to the commissioners as to why we refused the meals. The standards were just not there. The amount of food was just not there. We got cartons of milk that had expired, and when they opened up to pour it in their glass, the milk was curdled. I feel we are providing services. No, we don't have a homemaker aid that is based at our center, but I feel people are being covered. Our citizens have come to me, my supervisor just said to me, my God, I just ran into so-and-so. It's like, I don't want my millage money going to Dixa. And somebody explained it this way, and I like it. It's like, from the millage money, whatever it is, Dixa gets the whole loaf of bread, and the senior centers kind of get crumbs. I have some information that came from Ed McBroom's office. One of the things is how much money did Dixa get 2015, 2016? Total of $5,700. Another one that was for 2015, $600,000, $558,972. I mean, they have money besides the millage that is coming in. They have assumed, you know, lots of programs, which is good. But when what happens to us, and our seniors feel that we are getting kind of shortchanged, and the best way is to go on our own. And the contract that just came in, I have a cover letter that was an email from Tanya LaFave. They've known we've been unhappy and didn't want to go. John, you were at a meeting, and John Meade said we would have nothing to do with Dixa, okay? Whereas Dixa is desirous of purchasing congregate meals from a contractor for elders being served at the Norway Senior Center. We don't want them to buy our meals. We don't want to have anything to do with them. When we have gotten emails in the past, or the nutrition program coordinator has said, you can't put that on your salad bar, you can't put this on your salad bar, you want it, your board can pay for it. So the board wanted to keep the standard high. They have spent thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, and if you want to use the word subsidizing Dix's nutrition program, that is exactly what the board's been doing. No, you can't buy that cut of meat. No, you can't buy
You got 1 minute left.
that bag of lettuce. But my point is this, the seniors that we've been serving want to be continued to be served in their center. They also feel that their money that is generated by saying yes to those millages down in the city of Norway, which you should have a copy of the support letter that we received, or that you received from the city of Norway and the 2 townships. We want that money to stay, to keep us running, and running at the level that those seniors are accustomed to.
Okay,
Do
thank
you have any questions for me?
No, we're not. No questions at this time. Thank you. Anyone else like to address the board? Please come forward. Anyone?
I live on Hamilton Lake N26, and have used people have gone down to the senior center in Norway and partaken of a meal, or just kind of sat around with the people and talked to them. You know, I don't know how many years we've been going there. I'm from Escanaba, and I've served on 15 different committees. Pardon? 10 years. At least 15 committees I've served on. Through the UAW and Escanaba boards, United Way. So I'm well familiar with working with people. And my aim in every one of them, especially United Way, I changed that whole organization, Escanaba, around because I'm responsible for 2,000 people at Harness Figure giving money to United Way. There was some bad things going on. We straightened that out for the benefit of the community and benefit of the people. And I always believe if the taxpayers aren't served, they're going to rebel. Just like the Tea Party. You know, they're high taxes and have no voice in it. And all we want is our voice to be heard. And I'll tell you, their meals are great. The meals we got before, when the pancakes came in, they went in the garbage because you couldn't even cut them because the bottoms were all dried out and burnt. And that's only one of the meals that I was there for. The other ones I quit attending while the meals were coming. And many of our seniors quit attending, going to the senior center because of the meals. They went in the garbage. One woman had 3 meals delivered to her, the same meals for 3 days in a row. And that's all I got to say. So please consider Norway Senior Center Millage for us, please. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else like to address the board?
My name is James Della Piazza. I live at 810 Maple Street, Norway. I don't use the Norway Center, but the word on the street, the people that should be going to the center to get their nourishment don't go. I had an aunt that went to the Iron Mountain Senior Center, and of course they have this donation where you pay for the meal. Well, the people that need the meal aren't going. And there should not be a donation. I talked 4 or 5 years ago to a person that was in charge of Dickinson and asked him about the donation. He said, well, that's what they pay for other stuff. I feel, and a lot of other people feel, that the people that need the food and nourishment are not going. Because if they don't pay, they talk about it. And they won't go because they are proud people. They just won't go. And then I was just on the honor flight to Washington, D.C. And I didn't see anyone there from Dickinson County except one person, and he didn't need to be there, one of our elected officials, and it was our sheriff. I didn't see anybody else that was there from Dickinson County. I don't know if Dickinson County donates any money to this honor flight, but it was the 11th honor flight, and they served 770 veterans plus their guardians. And I think the board should look into some type of donation for that and the surrounding community, because a lot of veterans have gone on it. And the monies for the center, I don't know the whole story, but I understand they didn't get any more money from Dickinson, that they're on their own. Is that true? And everyone wants to know what happened to the money. Are they using it for something else? That would be criminal. That money should be designated to the Norway Center, and if it wasn't, if they got the money, they should be reimbursed. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else? We're going to wind this up very shortly here. Anyone else?
I know it's running long, I'm sorry. I'm Deb Watke, I'm the financial director for DICSA. I don't actually live in Dickinson County, I live across the river in Aurora, but I can address some of the issues that came up about money. They are correct, we do get federal and state dollars to support the nutrition programs. We do get program income from the people that attend the programs. That program income is entirely voluntary. If somebody comes to the center and whatever they put in as a donation is supposed to remain anonymous, and it is a voluntary donation. If somebody has the money and they want to donate, they can. If they can't, they should not be shamed. That is one of the rules we have to follow, and that we stress to all of our senior centers that they cannot keep track of who gives and who doesn't give. We use, when we have expenses, we use the federal and state dollars first. We use the program income first. The Dickinson County millage that we get for the Dickinson County programs is used to make up the rest of the expenses of running the programs. We don't get the information when we get the senior millage of what section of each county, of the county that those millage dollars came from. What we do is we support the programs that need the help. Some of the smaller centers, like Spelch and Cibola, they need a little more help because they get fewer state and federal dollars because they have fewer meals. But we still need to have 2 people in there cooking. So the cost per meal is a little higher. They have a very low income population. Their donations aren't as high as some of the people that can give in Iron Mountain or Green or Norway. And so they have a lower program income. So they get a little bit more of the millage that comes in. We don't divide it up and say, okay, this was raised here, this can only go here. We give it to the centers that need it, and we give it. What's happened this year is the demand for congregate meals has gone down, and the demand for home delivered meals has gone way up. It used to be about a 50-50 split. Now it's 70% of our clients are home delivered clients. Those are the lowest income people, the ones who cannot get out of their home and get a meal. We are still serving those people in Norway. Actually, that population, we've actually increased how many meals we serve there since we've been doing it directly in the Iron Mountain Center. We lost a few clients, but then we gained 5 or 6 more. And they were very happy because we were able to deliver those meals Monday through Friday now, instead of just Monday through Thursday, which is what we were doing from Norway.
You provided weekend meals and...
They, yes, we do provide 7 meals a week for home delivered clients. And what we do is we provide a cold meal for the other 2 days for them to heat up later. Trying to remember what else. One thing I'd like you to remember is that this millage does not only affect the clients at the senior centers, it affects home delivered clients. It also affects adult daycare, which people seem to forget about, but they're very important clients also. They're just as important as the people that come to the centers. And the in-home service clients, who are the people who need help, a little bit of help cleaning their home, or they need help with personal care, that keeps them from going to a nursing home, which is the goal of most of the people we run into. They just would prefer to stay in their home. That's what they want to do. That's what the senior millage, I feel, should be used towards, is keeping people comfortable in their homes as long as they can, because that's where they want to be.
You got 1 minute.
Yeah.
1 minute left.
Okay, I didn't know. I tried to talk fast. I'm sorry. So I just want you to be aware that, yes, we do serve other clients, and that, yes, we do ask for program income, and that is used directly in the program. It's been many years since we've had a surplus of any sort in millage. It's usually come right down to the penny. We spend everything, and in 3 previous years, we had to put general funding into Dickinson County programs to make up the shortfall from our own fund balance. That we can't do anymore because our fund balance has gone way down. We don't have a big amount of cash left. So I'd like to thank you.
Deb. Anyone else? Anyone else want to address the board?
My name is Tammy Tomasucci. I live at 736 East D Street in Iron Mountain. And I just want to say that the millage is so important to family ties. We get so much grant funding, and I divvy it up for every person, making sure everybody gets a little piece of the pot, so everybody has a little bit. And some of these people are dirt poor, and they have nothing. And this is their one respite, safe spot to bring their loved ones so that they can get some rest and some relaxation and be able to continue to take care of their loved one. And so the millage is very, very important to us. We cut corners, we spend very little, and very frugal when it comes to spending. We're very blessed by this community. People bring in donations all the time, and that helps sustain us. So I just want to say, the millage money is so important and it's going in the right places. My grandma receives home health care. She's 97 and she's able to stay in her own home because of Dickinson and Community Services. It's huge. And I just want Norway to know we love all the elderly people and we wish everything could be, everybody could get along and could work for everybody's purpose. We would never, ever wish anything bad on any elderly people. That's like been my passion for my whole life, and what we want with DICSA is to make everybody feel and empower them to live a healthy life, be social, and there's just so many other programs besides a congregate meal, and I just want you guys to be aware of that, because you're invited to come to Family Ties anytime. Stop in and see what goes on there. It's a great place, and these people really need to be there. And you can talk to the families. They're just, it's tough. It's really tough for them. So, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, board discretionary time. And Joe.
Well, I hope this all works out. My first impression is it's sad that we have to go through this because of where we're at. But I think in the end, we're all adults, senior citizens who can work this out. And that's what I want to look forward to.
Okay, I have no comment either.